Did Seattle housing prices go up or down in October? This is your market update for October 2024. Let's dive into the data of what happened in the Seattle housing market. Hey there, my name is Brendan Klaus, and I'm giving you monthly updates on what exactly is happening in the Seattle specific real estate market. Let's start right away. Without any further ado, let's get into the data. If you think that the house price on average in Seattle went up or down, I want you to put a comment in the comments right now with your prediction of which one it was. Before we get to what happened with the prices, let's start with the number of new listings. So the number of new listings in October in Seattle was 1,221. That's down slightly from September when we saw a little bit of a fall peak at about 1,500. The only other time we saw that this year was in May when we saw a little bit over 1,500 new listings. So we definitely have not seen as much inventory as we saw in September, and likely we're going to keep seeing this go down until the end of the year. If you look back at previous years, typically as we get into March, April, May, June, the number of new listings peaks, and then we might see a peak again in September before we come all the way back down into December and January, where there are very typically not as many listings. This means that sellers are not as active during this time, but for buyers, we do still see buyers in the market because we often see that pending sales are still happening. So in October, we saw 874 homes go under contract or pending. That's actually up from September when there was under 800 under contract. And it's a little bit below our peak, which was in April of 928 homes under contract. So we do still see this happening, as you can see in 2023. Even in December, we saw 396 homes go under contract. So we will still see buyers out there and actually taking part in the market. Now, if you're a seller, you might want to know what is the average days my home might sit on the market. So in October, that was 30 days on average sitting on the market, same as it was in September. We typically see that these months before that will be lower, but the peak this year was actually in January of 2024 at 45 days on market. So that will probably continue to go up as we look at November, December, and January from this 30-day mark. Now, months of supply based on the number of closed homes, this basically means if we were to stop bringing homes on the market today, how long would it take for everything that's already listed to sell? And right now we're at 3.4 months of supply in October, down just slightly from 3.8. So the higher this number is, the more likely it is to be a buyer's market. So it was actually more of a buyer's market in September this year than it was in October, but these are two of the highest months for the whole year. If we're between that 3 to 6 months of inventory mark, that typically means a balanced market. But if that number comes lower, that means it's more favorable to sellers. If it goes higher, it's more favorable to buyers. One other stat that we always want to look at is the average price per square foot. In Seattle, that was $563 per square foot. That is down from $577 in September and down from the peak of the year, which was March, was $602 per square foot. Again, that March peak is the highest it's been, honestly, since 2022 when we saw that in June, and we saw it go even higher at $630 in May of 2022. So we are down a bit from the peak there. And then how many showings does a listed home typically have to have on average until it goes under contract? In October, that was 14 showings, so 14 buyers coming through the property, down slightly from September when that was 15. Okay, have you guessed what the average price did in Seattle compared to September? Did it go up or did it go down? Okay, well, here's the big reveal. The average price in October of 2024 came down slightly from September. It's at $1,015,000. That's down from $1,044,000 in September, at which point it was almost the highest it's been all year. The highest we reached on average was July 2024, which was $1,056,000. Now that is the highest it's been since looking back since May of 2022. So again, we're almost back at those same levels of pricing as we were in May, but 2023 didn't quite catch up to 2022 or what we've seen now in 2024. As far as the mortgage rates go, as you may remember, earlier on, the Fed cut the rate by 0.5%, which caused mortgage rates to drop down to right around 6%. We even had some clients getting into contract with a 5.75 rate because we were able to negotiate a seller credit for them and help them buy that rate down. Now, those rates have since fluctuated again and they're almost back up at 7%. I'm recording this on November 7th. Today, the Fed just announced a 1/4 point cut to the rate, which will likely have an impact on the mortgage rate. Again, these are not exactly correlated, but the Fed rate will impact the mortgage interest rate. So over the next few days and weeks, hopefully we will see that rate start to come down. And the prediction is that we will continue to see the mortgage interest rate come down as we get closer to the end of the year. It all depends on what the Fed does and obviously how we're doing with inflation. Inflation is down as of today to 2.1%, which is just slightly above what the Fed's goal was, which was 2%. So we likely will see some activity unless the inflation rate comes back down below 2%. We'll likely see the Fed probably make another cut before the end of the year. If you have any questions about what's going on in the market, or you want to know about the first steps to buying a home in Seattle or selling a home in Seattle, I've had people just like you watching this channel reach out to me. You can contact me over email or telephone and let me know when you want to schedule a time to start that preliminary discussion. It is way better to start preparing now if you have plans to buy in the next 6 to 12 months or to sell in the next 6 to 12 months. We're here, we'd love to help you. Thanks for tuning in, and if you found this helpful, be sure to share this video with a friend that you know who's also in the market and thinking about real estate today. Thanks for tuning in, we'll see you again next month.